Cheers. Here we are. Season number 2. Cheers to that. Let's drink. We're here live in our OnlyFans studio.
And for those of you who don't get it, well, this just is what it is. Ready?
You'll know eventually. Oh, I cheers. I drank. Oops. Here we are. Season number 2 of Do It Like Danny. As you can see, we're on our YouTube channel, Do It Like Danny, and we're still on Instagram, and we're still on Spotify and iTunes.
Wait. You didn't say let's start the show.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let's start the show. I'm going to tell a million stories, and maybe one will hit home, and you'll be like, wow, that happened to me. And it's not about me. Well, it is. You know, television is a very, very crazy beast. I learned so much at Tyra. This is real emotion. This is something that I experienced.
I want the world to see what I have always seen, and that is the love that you have for just being yourself.
I love this person who knows who he is, who can make people laugh.
I think the script I gave you was a little bit different, but I'll take that.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm drinking at work because it's my show. I drink on my show. Welcome back. As you all know, today is Tuesday, May 16th. It is Janet Jackson's birthday. Woo!
For the second time, you've done that.
So we're back.
Without telling me, by the way.
I know. We're back. This is so crazy. I can't believe that this is season number 2, episode number 1. And what did you do last summer?
Well, first, let's focus on what we're actually doing. We're actually recording on video.
Yeah.
For the first time. I mean, remember when this just started as audio? We're so far away to think that we would actually be on video, and now here we are. How do you feel about that?
I'm trying to cover up my double chin. Trying to give you décolletage.
Have you been hit up by anybody wondering what's been going on?
Of course. Everybody's been kind of asking, of course, Darnella and Angelo. Everyone's been asking what's been happening. Where have we been? What have we been up to? I know that we had a little bit of time off.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was definitely nice. I had a great time. I was able to kind of do a few things. I know you had something exciting happen.
I did. My house almost caught on fire and almost died. But I'm still here. We still made it. Luckily, it was an easy thing. I did have to put it out. It was a little crazy, but it got fixed the next week, so it's all good.
So, but I know, like details though, you can't just give like a truncated version of it. Like,
well, it was dramatic. I don't want to go back to it.
How did it happen?
I was at the house. Okay, so we always have Disneyland passes, right?
Yeah.
So I could have easily gone to the movies. I could have been at Disneyland. I was at home. Okay, so I'm getting ready for everything, starting all this, learning a new program, getting ready for what we're planning, and I go to the living room and I could smell burning rubber. But I don't know where it's coming from at all. So I'm sitting here. I can pinpoint the direction, but I don't know where. I can't see anything lighting on fire just yet. And at first I unplug everything. And I still smell it. And then I see it. It starts to ignite, and it's on the wall. It's my switches, and the middle one is just catching on fire. I had to put it out. Luckily, I had a fire extinguisher. Right, pulled the pinch. Then I went outside and had to just turn off all my switches and then figure out which one was it. And then I had to leave that off for like a week and a half before I had to get it fixed. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So I could have lost everything. And I just bought that house about a year ago. And I could have lost my dogs, which I have 2.
Oh my God, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That's something wild. Well, I mean, I can't say that anything that exciting happened to me. I was in Palm Springs recently and hanging out with all the gays. Palm Springs is a pretty big, huge gay mecca. Of course, it was very White Lotus. There was lots of drama, as always, with all the gays. Lots of drama, very White Lotus. The gays are trying to kill me. But we'll go more into that later, because I definitely want to save that story for
another tease.
Another time. But what I really want to jump on right away, because I got tons of messages about this. Tons of people were sending me all sorts of stuff. And that is, if you haven't been paying attention, Rolling Stone did an expose on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Okay.
And they released that there was toxicity in daytime.
But how do you...
Toxicity in daytime. I've never heard of that before in my entire life. I've never heard of toxicity in an environment where, yeah, I've never heard of that. So I lie.
That's your blood, sweat, and tears with all the toxicity.
And for those of you that are listening right now, you have no idea what I just showed, but I showed something. So you'll have to come to the YouTube channel, Do It Like Danny, to be able to view what I just showed on camera.
All the exclusive props.
Yeah, that's a good prop. I got 3 of them. I have 3 of those props.
God.
But yeah, so Rolling Stone released this expose, and they named actually an executive that I have worked with before. And of course, you know, I was kind of flooded with all these memories of this particular executive because I personally never had a negative experience. And her name is Alex Duda. I never had a negative experience. Me personally, again, and I say that, and I'm not trying to like desensitize or take away from what anybody else has experienced, because people do change over time. But for me, I never had anything, because people were asking me, oh my God, you knew her, you worked with her at Tyre, and I did.
When was the last time you did work with her? Like, what was the last year? Was it
Oh,
2010?
God, that was
2012?
Yeah, that was so long ago. My old man memory, I can't remember. But yeah, so it's crazy that all these things are starting to come out now. You know, listen, you know, is the television business industry, is it super hard? I don't say it's super hard. I'd say it's very stressful.
Also unforgiving too.
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah. You know, if you don't have I don't say a good head on your shoulders, like everything I feel like I say, I feel like I'm just loading myself up to get shot down, right? But it's hard. It's not an easy, you have to have a very extremely tough skin. And I think that, you know, of course I'll get in trouble for this one. Kids with iPhones nowadays, you know, they are just extremely sensitive.
I have an iPhone. What are you saying?
Kids with iPhones. But yeah, so listen, I wish everyone the best of luck in which or however that plays out.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they're going to do a whole investigation behind the scenes. And here's another part too, and I want people to kind of recognize this. So recently Kelly Clarkson had announced that they're actually moving the show to New York. I found out like months ago because of course, whoever you know, within people that work at 30 Rock
You
that I
still have your little
know.
birds inside
You know
the
me.
system.
I'm all, I know people. And so I was flooded with, again, messages saying, hey, you know, Kelly Clarkson's moving to New York. Danny, you should apply. You should try to go. And listen, I would love to go to New York. I would love to be there again. But, you know, it wasn't officially released until this past couple of weeks. And so here's where I am kind of like on the fence. And I'm trying to see both sides of it. You know, when we moved Tyra to New York, there were some people that were not so happy that they were not asked to move to New York, right? At the end of the day, everybody wants to be asked.
Yeah.
But if they didn't feel that you had performed well here in Los Angeles, then you weren't asked. And maybe I'm stretching it. I mean, I'm not an executive. I was an executive at that time. I unfortunately have to use that horrible word of assume. So I'm assuming that that's kind of how it kind of played out.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of assuming again that that's how this is playing out, that maybe there were some staffers that were not asked to go and they kind of colluded together. Listen, I've had that happen to me. And they've colluded together to kind of present that, you know, Alex is a bad person. Maybe they were asked to go, or maybe they weren't. So we don't really know the whole story. I don't want to start, you know.
You never know the full story.
You never
know
do.
who's telling the truth and who just had a bad experience. Because guess what? We all don't get along. That's
There's
just the way it
always
goes.
there's always 3 sides.
Yes.
Yours, theirs, and the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
So best of luck to everybody in the entertainment business. Because right now there's also the writer's strike. So, you know, that's going to affect me too.
I mean, I'm still writing for this show, so.
You're supposed to be picketing.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
Across
You
the picket
scab?
line.
You're a scab.
Does it count if you don't get paid?
So then also too, so going into other experiences that I had most recently, one that you did not attend that we have to address again, and that is,
I'm sorry.
I hate to bring it down a little bit of a note, but Darnella's father passed away, and I was lucky enough to be invited to, and you were too,
Yes.
to the, I say, Kennedy Center Honors Tribute. Darnella put together the most amazing tribute to her father. It was done in South Bay, and we were able to, well, first of all, let me kind of rewind, because I had some anxiety. I had some like reservations about going, because in my mind, I made it about me, shocker, right? I made it about me, and I was thinking, oh my God, like, I'm not going to know anybody. I'm just going to go sit in the corner. And of course, obviously, it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
It was about Darnella and her father. I never got an opportunity to meet him. But what I will say is, oh my God, I feel like I know the man now.
Yeah, we heard a lot of stories.
Let me explain what happened. So, of course, leading up to the day, I didn't want to be late. I arrived. I drove down to South Bay. It was a beautiful venue. I don't know the name of the church. I know that's so bad. But he belonged to this, I'm going to say Asian church, because that seemed like that was the majority of the demographic, Asian, Hawaiian, of descent. And the pastor was extremely young. He was hot. I'm sure he's married, but he was so gorgeous. And, I arrived. I didn't know anybody, of course, obviously. And so I parked, I went inside, and there were all these people that were putting together like the food, and everybody was kind of doing things. And, there were a lot of people in this auditorium, and it was beautiful. There was like a backdrop of like the ocean and waves, and it was lit with blue and like very Moana colors, very Lilo and Stitch Hawaii, right? Yeah. And, I saw Darnella up in the front, and so I kind of crept up there, and I introduced myself. I said, hi, I'm here. And she goes, oh, Daniel. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, she just beamed and immediately began to introduce me to everybody, all of her family. And I felt like it became about me. And it was just so weird, because then her mom was there, and her mom is wonderful and great. And like, I sat with, I think, a cousin. There were so many people that I met that day. I will never remember any of their names, but I'll remember their faces, And so in the beginning of this tribute, she's like telling all these people, and she's so animated, and she's going, and I was like, oh my God, okay. And I was trying to be demure, shocking me, demure, right? I was trying so hard, but it didn't come off that way, obviously. And I went and I sat, and people were like, oh, you're from the show. Where's Cousin Louie?
And that's where I wasn't there. I do apologize, because I did want to go there, but that's another story.
Where is Cousin Louie? That was the number one question. Not like what's coming up season 2, but where is Cousin Louie? Where the beep were you? Oh my God. So, we're there, we're sitting. I will tell you this. The tribute to her father was so amazing, and it was so wonderful. They sang. They hula danced. They all spoke. And by all, I mean the family was huge. And her father had lived such an amazing life. It reminded me so much of Obama, because they showed photos of him in the military. Not saying their grandma was in the military, but, grandma traveled all over the place. Yeah. And he was always put together. He wore tons of jewelry. In fact, one of the cutest stories is his partner. She told this really great story of how she knew she was going to fall in love with him, is because she had come out, she'd gotten dressed. She was coming out of the room, or the bathroom, and he was sitting there. And she said to him, is this too much jewelry? And he looked at her and he said, you can never wear enough jewelry.
That's nice.
So he had bling. Like, the photos of him had rings and gold necklaces. And
he always looked sharp.
He looked sharp, man. He was always dressed to the nines. So that was actually really cool. But the pivotal moment in that entire tribute was when they played the video homage, which was like a 5-hour Scorsese thing. Darnella's going to hate me for that one. It was like Steven Spielberg had directed this particular, montage.
Yeah.
And then seeing Darnella, like, kind of like, you could see her in her eyes. She was there, but she was still directing, because she's obviously Scorsese at her best. But the entire, tribute, the video tribute, was of photos of him, right? There was not a dry eye in the house. In fact, the guy that was recording it was literally in tears as he's wiping his eyes and he's trying to steady and hold the camera. Like
Yeah.
that's how emotional it was. And here was someone who was not even a part of it. So that just gives you an idea of how much emotion was running through that room and how much love was for that man.
Yeah.
So it was great. We had a wonderful time. At the end, people were again introducing themselves because not only after like the 5-hour tribute, they stayed one last final goodbye. And so everybody was saying goodbye to Darnella, and I waited until the very end. And it's so funny because we were sitting down and we were eating. And by the way, the food was so good. Hawaiian food was delicious. Oh my God, the mac salad. And when she comes on, I'll have her give the name of the food place because it's wonderful, and they're there in Torrance. So it's if you're in the Torrance area, it's a good. We'll give that information for you. And so I was sitting there, and this I guess they're her cousins, and they look sort of familiar to me, but. Listen, I've met so many people in my life, and I feel so bad. I just don't remember the names.
You don't remember
but
everybody.
They came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you're from the show." I was like, "Oh yeah, I do it like Danny with Darnella." And they were like, "No, you're from the show I'm going to talk about this season."
Oh, wow. They recognized you from that show?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my God." Like that's been a few years. Like, they go, and this is my favorite part. And I do have to kind of give myself a little accolade. And they said, "It was never the same after you left."
Wow.
And I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot. So that kind of made me feel good that, they were just everyday people for free tickets. And they decided that they wouldn't go to the show after I left.
Wow.
Yeah, because
That's the impact you have. See,
that
now
was-
you understand why I started the show. The whole show's an accolade to you, guy.
Oh my God. So that was the great time with Darnella. That was so much fun. We had I don't know how she did it. And I said I was exhausted at
she's
the end
tough,
of it.
though.
She is fucking tough.
She is.
She is fucking tough.
Yeah.
I tried to get a hold of Angelo to kind of get an update on him. But I'm sorry, let me go back to Darnella real quick. I jump around. And so the final part was, she at the end, after like this 9-hour event, and it wasn't 9 hours, I'm just embellishing. But after all of this entire event all day, she said, "We're going to go to a bar after." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm exhausted." I was so tired from all that emotion that I drove home and I literally slept until the next day.
Wow.
So I don't know how she was doing it. I mean, dealing with the passing of her father, the tribute, controlling everything, the food, and then going out after and partying with her cousins. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're above our 50s. We're getting up there. And Darnella, you're not 38 anymore. So again, being with Darnella was amazing. It was wonderful. It would have been nice if you had been there. Obviously,
I'm sorry.
of course.
Trust me, I wanted to go. I didn't plan it correctly. She did reach out to me and say, if I still wanted to watch it, it's on YouTube. I just got it the other day, and I do want to sit down and watch it because I know I'm going to probably start crying.
You need some popcorn.
I know. I saw it was like a 3-hour thing. I was like,
Oh
oh,
my
wow.
gosh.
They really, yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of emotion. It's a lot. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in like the nicest, most positive way, but it's a lot.
Well,
It's a lot.
the way you described it is more of a celebration than it was sad. So that was kind of nice.
It was definitely a celebration. I mean, listen, coming back into season 2 is going to be all about celebration. We have a lot of great things that are coming up in terms of celebrating female business owners. So you'll be getting emails soon as we go through everything. And in addition, obviously, to my daily insanity and crazy things that I experience in my life, especially with my friend Matt. But going back to what we did last summer, which we didn't. We were only gone for like what, 2 months? Yeah,
60 days.
We weren't gone that long.
Ish.
What I will say is, we are right now in crazy times. We have crazy political figures, and I try not to get political, but this story kind of lends itself to that. I've had really, really great friends that unfortunately are, particular supporters that don't believe in what our community does. And so, listen, there's a little bit of friction, but I still have love. It doesn't matter who you support. I still love my friends no matter what.
Yeah.
And I hope that would be returned in kind because I don't hate you. I mean, you're just hanging out with a particular political group that hates
Me.
Yeah. I don't think that reflects you, but I hope that you don't change yourself to become something that you're not. And that's kind of what I'll say about that.
For a political party.
For
especially.
political party, yes. And so now I'll move on to what I think was a political thing. So, we had some time off. I got to spend some time with my mom.
Okay.
And we, planned to spend the day together. I had her it was very early in the morning. We were near Cardiff by the Sea, which I'm sure you've heard of before.
Yes.
It's very near San Diego, like the Escondido area. It's a beautiful area, a very beautiful area. And so we drove in, and my mom was really excited because my mom had pumped up and said, I really want you to go to this market. It's this really great, and I think it's called Seaside Market, I think, if I remember correctly. Me and my horrible memory with names. Yeah. And so, we drove in, and my mom was super excited. Like, it's, I really don't get a chance to see that much excitement from her. Sorry, Mom. And she wanted to show me like the meats that they have, and they're well known for their tri-tip. They're well known for the things that they sell in the restaurant, and to help everybody kind of understand, it's like an Erewhon or it's like a Whole Foods. It's high-end food, imported, Italian, things that are delicious and wonderful but cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so we were, walking on the aisles, and we were chatting and laughing. I ended up getting a few meats. She showed me all the cheese. I got some cheeses. And so it was a great time. We were really enjoying ourselves. And she said, oh, I want to take you to the donut shop, which is right, the next street over. And I said, oh, great, no problem. Let's do that. And then we need to go get breakfast. We need to go grab something. And when I'm ever in San Diego, I like to go to a bread place called Bread and Sea.
Yeah,
and
my favorite place. You showed me that.
Oh my God, I love their bread.
I go all the time
They
now.
have the best bread. If you're ever in San Diego, Bread and Sea,
Bread and Sea,
Bread
baby.
at Sea. It's Bread at Sea. And they have the best breakfast and the best bread, and it freezes so well. Yes, for, a big girl like myself.
I've gained like 20 pounds just hanging out with you, right?
Oh my God. On a side note, can I tell you something? Like, obviously you can see me now. I put a little shoe polish, right? Where, I don't have any wrinkles, so I can't complain about that. But getting COVID twice, once in November, once in March.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
lost my
right.
taste and my smell, but I didn't lose my appetite. Yeah, so back to our scheduled programming. So, it's my mom and I were in Cardiff by the Sea, and we go to the donut shop. So we pull in, we park, and my mom and I are talking. And as we're about to enter the establishment of Donutville, or whatever the name it was, I opened the door because there was a lady that was coming out. So I opened the door, and I let her go first. And my mom kind of stepped aside. My mom had her mask on. I don't wear a mask anymore.
Yes.
My mom had her mask on. And the lady looked at me, and by the way, it's like 7:18 in the morning.
It's early.
And the lady says to me, con permiso, por favor, perdóname. And I was like, what the fuck?
Wait, was she white or Mexican?
She was Caucasian. Can we say white?
Yeah, I don't see why.
Okay, she was white. She was white. And I laugh at everything. And whether that's my defense mechanism, whether I'm having sex, or whether I'm drinking a glass of wine, I laugh. I've always laughed.
You're processing it because you don't know if it's meant to be offensive or if somebody's trying to make a joke. So you don't automatically think the worst. You're like me. We think, oh, they're making a joke until
right. So I laughed at her because I was like, oh, this bitch is crazy, right? Whatever, no big deal. It wasn't even on my radar. Like, she didn't even have a speck in my mind at that moment, right? So I just kind of oh, okay, lady, cuckoo, right? Someone didn't take their Klonopin this morning. So she exit with her, I believe her kids, and they're all sitting on the patio. There's a little small patio right before you go into the donut shop, and, people sit out there and do their coffee and enjoy themselves and so on and so forth, right? So we go inside, and we're ordering donuts, and I'm getting like a cake, and my mom is excited to show me this area, and we're standing at the register, and of course, all of a sudden, behind me, I hear, "Con permiso, por favor, necesitas servietas," and I was like, "What? Is it this lady again?"
And for the people at home, what does that translate to?
Oh, it means, excuse me, I need napkins.
I guess you can't just say that, huh?
Yeah. And so again, it was the decibel. It's like 7:25 at this time. It's fucking early in the morning. why are you speaking at a decibel that would be reminiscent of like a heavy metal concert, okay? And then on top of that, the additional added element of, why is it in Spanish?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't even, like, she doesn't know us. She doesn't, and listen, I swim a lot. As you can see, I'm very tan because I swim all the time. But yeah, I'm just as clueless as you are if you're listening right now. So again, what's my defense mechanism? I laugh.
Yeah.
I always laugh. So I kind of went, okay. And I moved out of the way, right? She gets her napkins. She walks out the door. Again, my mom and I are talking. My mom brings up a story as we're exiting the store.
Yeah.
About how Ariana Grande had licked the donuts, right? And so we were kind of laughing about that. Again, my mom and I were enjoying the moment together. We were having a good time. We weren't hurting nobody.
Yeah.
When we're walking back to my car, and all of a sudden, and we're walking back to my car, and all of a sudden, her husband says, "Do you think you really need those donuts?"
To you or to my aunt?
We don't know, right? So, of course, I know that it's directed at us, okay? And you know me, I process shit fast.
Yeah.
I had already sized up the situation, okay? And I said, is that really how this is going to go down? Is that the example that you're going to set for your children?
Oh, shit.
Because they were in front of their kids.
Yeah.
And he didn't know, like, oh, shit. He's like, oh, my God. Like, they speak English. And I just got my ass handed to me.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a big area where we were. And people were having breakfast at some taco stand that's in there. People were in their cars.
Witnesses?
They were witnesses.
Oh, Jesus.
So, but he kept going. So then he goes, oh, well, you know, very reminiscent of something if you were in 8th grade.
Yeah.
He's, you know,
Trying
throwing
to come up with
fat
something.
jokes like, oh, you're so fat, right? I'm like, okay, like, thank you. I already went through 8th grade. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now, right? So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
So then he goes after my mom. He's like, is she wearing a mask? She should put a mask on. And I was like, what? And he goes, is that your girlfriend? And I turn and go, that's my mother.
An idiot.
That's my mom.
Yeah.
Like, it was the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
So, of course, obviously, my mom starts to say, shut your, and I go, don't you dare. Don't
give it to them.
Don't give it
Yeah.
to them. Don't stoop to their level. Don't do anything. And I said, just get in the car. It's going to be fine. And I was like, whatever, dude. I go, we're going to get in my car and we're going to drive away. You
In my
have a
nice
nice
Mercedes.
day. Yeah. Yeah. And so that was it. But here's the interesting part. When I looked around, we were the darkest things there.
Got it.
And the people that were in their cars and the people that were eating were looking at us like we were the problem.
Wow.
And so I processed that extremely quickly. Like, oh my God, we look like we're the ones starting the shit. We didn't start this shit. It was that dumb lady who, by the way, now her husband is responsible. I'm sure they get in many fights because she's got a big mouth. For whatever reason, they attacked me and my mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm with my mother. What's wrong with you? And he's like, oh, you need another mask. It was just the dumbest thing ever. It was so dumb.
It's just to start shit for no reason.
And I felt so
weird.
bad. But here's the crazy part. So there we were, you know, in the parking lot of the donut shop.
Uh-huh.
We were getting harassed by the white family, for lack of a better word for them. And what I noticed and what I realized is that we were the darkest things there. We were walking to the car and there were people getting tacos, people getting donuts, but we were the darkest things there. And it felt like we were the ones that were starting the drama. It felt like the way everyone was looking at us, like in their cars, like scowling.
Did anybody record you? Do you know?
No, I don't know. And you know, it's so funny. You know, you see that these things happen on YouTube and TikTok and all those other different media platforms, and you see it, and you see people want to pull their phone out.
Yeah.
It didn't even dawn on me because I still didn't realize what was happening to
You're
us.
just processing, so that's the difference.
And that was part of it. You know, he kept going on and on and on. I'm like, this is my mom. Like, why are you attacking us here? All we were doing was getting donuts. You know, we weren't the ones that started this. They were the ones that started it. And they were going after my mom because she was wearing a mask. Like, who cares? Like, who cares at the end of the day? Was she hurting anybody?
No.
Absolutely not. She was not hurting anybody. And, you know, again, this might be repetitive, but as we walked back to the car, my mom was going to say something expletive. And I said, don't you dare give them the opportunity to come back and be worse to us, right?
Yeah.
So of course, obviously, we get in the car, and it's so funny because the minute we got into the nice car, they stopped, and it was such a weird. It was just weird all the way around.
Yeah.
You know, had I experienced this before? Absolutely, multiple times. And, you know, there's more about it in just a second. But, you know, as again, we were getting back in the car, I looked around and people were like shaking their heads, like those people. And that's what it felt like in that brief moment where that family harassed us. It took a turn as if we were the ones that were starting it.
And what's weird is that your sister and your brother-in-law live in that area, right?
Yeah.
So you've never heard anything from them.
No.
So I wonder why they specifically attacked you two.
Well, here's the interesting part. So, you know, obviously my mom and I are guilty of having no filter and just blurting out whatever comes out of our mouth, the bullshit, right? In this particular instance, we didn't say anything. She didn't say anything either. And she didn't deserve to get harassed like that. You know, well, I will say that my biggest mistake, and I don't want to say mistake, what I will say, if I had to redo it again differently, I would have let my mom go through it. So I tried to protect her because she wanted to cry. And I was like, don't you dare. Don't let them see you cry. Because, listen, I've had people call me faggot. I've had people call me fat fuck. I've had people say so many different mean things to me. I mean, even in television, I've had assistants who are like, well, maybe you should go on a diet. Like,
well, I remember a story one time that you posted from New York. I don't know who you were working with, if you were still with Tyra or The Talk. But you had posted that somebody had called you the F word, the other F word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that was in New York.
Yeah.
And again, the executives didn't do anything. All they said was, well, that person's banned. But whatever, at that point, it was, the injustice had already been done.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that they don't, that's one thing about television. There's nothing in their parameters that protects you. They may say, oh, we take these things very seriously.
But that's only to cover their own ass, so you can't sue them.
Exactly.
I work for a company like that where we'll see how long I work there.
Exactly. But going back to that moment of being racistized, you know, or whatever, they were going after my mom because she was wearing a mask, which is the most benign thing ever in all of America. We weren't hurting anybody. It's not my fault that woman woke up that morning and forgot to take her Klonopin. Like, these things aren't my issues. But the man went after us, made fun of us, and in the end, like I said, circling back to my mom in the car, she wanted to cry, and I felt so bad for her because here was a moment. You know, I'm her son. I'm supposed to protect my mom. We're supposed to protect our family.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was just like, what is happening in the world?
Yeah.
Why are people being so hateful and so mean to each other? Listen, I'm guilty. I'm totally guilty of talking shit. I'm totally guilty of it. And people will know me. Oh, Danny, you talk. I do. But I also have a thicker skin.
Yeah.
I'm able to take it. But I've also been through it. Like I said before, people have called me the worst of names. So for me, it's just water off of a duck's back. But my mom, that was the first time she'd ever experienced anything like that in her entire life.
Which is wild because she grew up at a time where that kind of stuff was normal.
Yeah,
you know,
but this was different because her son was involved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was different because we weren't doing anything. It's 7:00 in the morning. What kind of trouble can you get into at 7 a.m. in the morning? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But this family found us, and this woman decided, I'm going to be an asshole today. Let me make your life miserable, and then let me go complain to my husband because I laughed at her. And then that's what probably started it all, because I hurt her little ego because she was trying to practice Spanish.
Yeah.
And that particular moment, which, know your audience. It's 7:00 in the morning. I'm sorry. that was inappropriate and it was uncalled for.
Yeah.
Nobody needed that. So if they're out there, maybe they'll listen to the show one day and they realize that they were assholes.
No, they'll probably sue you for telling the truth.
Yeah, right?
Defamation.
Oh, poor me. We're the snowflakes, supposedly, but they're the ones that are crying because, And here's the other part, too. It's like, we're so close to the border.
Yeah, right?
Like, we're so close to the border in Cardiff by the Sea, but then when I told other friends, they're like, oh, that's a very Republican area.
Yeah.
It's very, very white. It's very, very like Trump. And, listen, I hate to associate those two together, but that's kind of the way it's been lately.
They go hand in
the
hand.
people that are going after the races are the ones that are siding with that particular person.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give him any more, publicity than he ever needs or whatsoever. So that's
They had their
fine.
4 years.
Yeah, they had their 4 years. We were stupid, though. What we should have done is we should have let him win the second season, because that's basically what it is, the show for him. We should have let him win his second season, the other 4 years, because then we'd be done with him at this point.
Yes,
Right?
that's correct.
Who knows where we would be, whether for worse or whether for better. Again, I don't care which side that you believe, because here's the thing. If we're going to go politics for a hot second, there's corruption on both sides.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Nobody is without sin. They want to be biblical. He who has no sin can cast the first stone. Well, those bitches live in glass
They're
houses.
the first ones to cast them still.
I know. It's so crazy. And all this hateful rhetoric is what is inciting people to make it okay. Well, listen, if Marjorie Greene says it, then, and Boebert and all the other ones, if they say it, well, then guess what? I think the same way too. I can also say it. So now it's being publicized.
Yeah.
And what people don't realize is we're still human beings. And at the end of the day, we still need each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you believe in. There's corruption on both sides. There's corruption in religion. There's when people throw back and say, well, the Catholic Church or whatever church, they rape little boys. And then, and yes, they do.
It's actually factual.
They've been hiding it for years. But yet drag queens are dangerous. And
For
they
reading
say,
books.
and then they say, well, whatever drag queens do, that should be done in your home or whatever they say.
Yeah.
Why are you going after drag queens? Like, at the end of the day, here's your legacy. You were put on this earth to be something.
Yeah.
Or you weren't. That's okay. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, when you die and you go wherever you're going to go, you probably will get an opportunity to look back on your legacy. And what will you have left behind? The fact that you passed a bill that drag queens couldn't perform or dance in front of kids or do a reading rainbow type of thing?
Yeah.
Really? Really? You think they're grooming? I had a lady in my rideshare that said
Going off on it?
she was adamant. She grew up in Russia. And she said, I don't believe in the drag queens. I don't believe in this. And I was like, she literally said, they're grooming the little kids. And then I think about it and I said, I don't know how that's possible. Because here's my official point of view. I hate to break it to you. No amount of beer, no fucking drag queen. There's nothing in the universe that's going to make you gay. You either are or you aren't. It is what it is. It's not something that you wake up and go, oh, I had a Bud Light. I'm gay now. On what planet do you live? That is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
It's ignorance. It's people who have one way of thinking. And
But
that's
it's
all you can
everywhere.
do.
It's everywhere. People think they're going to turn me gay. I'm sorry, Billy Bob, and I'm sorry if that's your name, Billy Bob. But I'm sorry, Billy Bob, but if you like your dick sucked, guess what? You like your dick sucked. It is what it is. Ain't no amount of anything is going to make you gay.
Yeah.
You either are or you aren't. I think the only part that kind of gets confusing for me is because I'm an older gay or queer in the community is when it comes to the whole transition of young kids blocking their hormones. I can't weigh in on that because I don't have children, and so I'm not in that position. Me personally, and I'll make this statement, me personally as someone who helped raise my two little sisters, I think, and it may sound horrible, but you have to go through your paces until you can come to
Your
an
own
age
ideas.
when you realize what you are
Yeah.
and what you can be. I don't think that you should meddle with hormones or any of that stuff, yes, maybe your child is what it is, right? For lack of their pronoun usage. And that's great. I didn't know what I was. I thought might have been a woman at one point. I was very wrong.
Is that a story we're going to tell?
Yeah, we'll tell that story. Oh God, Jesus. That's a whole nother 85 minutes of a story.
Yeah.
But just to give you a tidbit, like, you don't know what you are, but I'm so glad that I didn't do what I thought might be that process. Yeah. I am who I am, and I'm very happy with the way that I turned out. Me personally, I speak for myself. For the community, it's across the board right now. Everyone's trying to find a home. I get it. I understand it. But you're going to eventually figure it out.
Yeah.
Do we all have to be a part of that process? I wasn't in the streets sharing my part of the process. I am now, but I'm doing it in a way where I don't want to make it seem like I made mistakes. I just want people to know, whether you're gay, straight, whatever the heck you think you are.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to eventually get there. You are probably going to get beat up. I'm not trying to incite violence. I'm just saying all those things in your life, if somebody's protecting you from them, it's not going to build your character.
No.
I don't think I would have or be the character that I am if I had not gone through those things.
And how would your response have been to the racist people that harassed you? Probably would have been a lot different.
It would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
I would have pulled my gun out and I probably would have shot them. That's horrible. We don't want that. We don't want that. We love Second Amendment rights. Everybody has a Second Amendment. Everybody has that right.
But it's true. You have to go through the worst.
I don't want to bring violence into it, but sometimes that's what it turns into.
Yes, correct.
You know, if you bully because you didn't teach your child how to deal with that. You know, in the day of I have anxiety, I'm triggered. Oh my God, if we could play a drinking game out of the word triggered, you would be drunk every single day. I mean, what the hell? Like, get through it. You're going to be okay. Take a couple of deep breaths.
And if
okay?
you're not, guess what? We're all not making it out alive, right? Just like you said.
I hate to break it to you. We're all going to end up in the same place.
Correct.
Pine or mahogany.
Some of us just go earlier than others. It happens.
So, you know, with all of that being said, we probably should end on a happy note,
That's
right?
a good happy note, yeah.
We would like to thank our friend Dave for allowing us into his studio of amazingness, of cameras and lights galore. Oh my.
I love it because this is exactly what my room at my house looks like, full of toys.
I think I have those chonies.
I thought those were yours. You didn't bring them?
Oh my God. So here we are. This is so crazy. And for those of you, again, that don't know who I am, my name is Do It Like Danny. That's not my name, but my name is Danny. I am doing this because my cousin forced me. No, I'm just kidding.
Put a gun to his head. Second Amendment rights.
Yeah. My cousin decided that we would put this show on, and I do say show, because he wanted people to hear me, and now he wanted people to see me. So, you know, here we are in our new studio. Cheers to our new studio.
As you can see, we already drank most of it.
We're already drinking. As we drink and we celebrate the life of Do It Like Danny. And with that being said, I went to Palm Springs. I mentioned that earlier. It was very White Lotus. There was lots of drama. The gays tried to kill me. And I would love to share that with you next week.
At a later time.
At a later time. But I want to say thank you so much to everyone that helped us get to this point, and we're so happy that you wanted to see us on video.
Yeah.
And we're so happy that you just want to see us in general. As you can tell, again, my COVID weight is is still here. It's okay. Who cares, right? But with all that being said, I hope you enjoy your week, and don't forget to always do it like Danny.